Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to JJ's PC Build. You know it is JJ with you once again. Today seems like the launch day for Ryzen and AMD. Well, I'm just going to say AMD's launch of Ryzen 9600X and the 9700X. Okay, so what I did was I went around looking at the benchmarks since AMD has not yet recognized us as being a reviewing channel, which I hope someday they do. I had to go around looking for benchmarks to find out what's going on with the 96 and 9700X. But that's what I did grab today. I grabbed a couple benchmarks from Gamers Nexus and Hardware Unbox, and I hope y'all understand they're not my benchmarks, they're theirs. And I'll leave a link in the description on their video as well down in below. Okay, I know they're not my benchmarks, but I just wanted to get my 2 cents in, what I think, until I can, get my own and do my own testing. We're still working towards it, so don't be impatient. Just follow along with me. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go to the action screen and get things started. Okay, we brought you to the action screen. What I did was I made up a bunch of slides, so this way we can go through it together. We'll go ahead and bring up the first slide, which will be right here, Gamers Nexus. This is with the Ryzen 7 9700X, and this is Ada Photoshop Puget series. Hopefully I said the name right. But from what I see is that the 9700X is at the top, and they're using DDR5 6400 RAM with this. And looks like that the 6400 gets less of a score than the 6000 series RAM, 6000 megahertz RAM. Showing on here, but right below that, we're looking right here at the Ryzen 7 7700X, which is not too far behind that, and the 7950X, which is right below that at 10,923. So they're up in the 11,000s, and you got quite a few that are in the 10,000s, especially the 7600X. And surprising to look at that, that it's right there. So what we'll do is we'll go to the next slide, and this is Starfield, because I know there's a lot of my subscribers here and viewers like to look at to see what's going on with Starfield. Okay, so from what I see here, that the 9700X with the 6000 megahertz RAM, or you say MT or whatever, still same. Either way you look at it. I know you're going to say, no, it's not. But to me, 6,000 megahertz, 6,000 MTs, it's the same, regardless. So looking at the 1%, the 0.01% lows at 37.1, and looking at the 1% lows at 55.6, and looking at the average FPS at about 123, and that's just right there. So, but this is something that's really surprising me, that the Ryzen 7 7700X, which I know one of my subscribers has got, by the way, and don't forget your drinking snacks, by the way, people. Yes, I do got ice today. Looks like the Ryzen 7 7700X, both with 8-core 16-thread, looks like that the 0.01% lows are at 38.5, the 1% lows at 56.9, and the total average is 123.7. So looking at this and just taking that one little block, looks like it's getting, the 7700X looks like it's outperforming the 9700X slightly at 6,000 megahertz RAM. Slightly. But you got to think, going back 2 years and comparing today. So I was expecting, because of all the leaks and everything else, that the 9000 series processors, and they were saying that 9700X was supposed to, and with all the leaks, were supposed to outperform the 7800X3D. So it doesn't look like it. And that's, I mean, they even got AM4 5800X3D outperforming the 9700X. And right below that, they got the 5700X3D. And right below that, they got the 5600X3D. Now, the 5600X3D has 6 core, 12 threads, compared to the 5700X3D, which is 8 core, 16 threads. So if you got, and you know, oh my God, you guys are going to kill me because I forgot the big cursor. Oh, don't kill me, don't kill me. We'll get the big cursor out and we'll turn it a good color for you. Okay, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with steam here. So 5600X3D is not that far off. I mean, what? You're looking at 112 on the average, and you're looking at 123. So you're looking at what, 11, 12 FPS difference from a Gen 4 or AM4 Gen 4. Yeah. And you're looking at a 6 core, 12 thread. That's only 11% slower. Not even, I would say on average about 7%. I would give it 7% slower. Just in this game alone. So those processors are $229. They're in between the $230 to $200 range. And you got your 9700X, which is in the fashion of $370. So, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to understand why they would put out such slow of a CPU. Unless there's an unless to this. Unless the motherboard itself is not up to date with these new processors. And it could be that these were designed for the 800 series motherboards, and they didn't put any updates just yet for the 600 series. Could be. So if it is, then, you know, there's going to be more testing in the future. So do expect it. And from what this looks like here, that the 9700X is a little bit faster than the 13600K, but using DDR5 6400. So in that instance, that if you're going up, and it looks like it's going from 6,000 to 6,400 in the RAM, the faster the RAM, it seems the faster these CPUs seem to go. Let's hope that they can get it up to 8,000 megahertz, and then we would probably see it keep up with the 7900 or the 79 or the 7800 X3D, I would say. So, if that's the case, and the RAM is the issue, because right now they don't have it all balanced and everything else, they're just putting it out there. So hopefully in time they'll get it balanced and it'll push it upwards where it needs to be. I think that's where we're running into a little bit of the issue, because so far a lot of people are saying they're not going to recommend this, but there might be an update to your motherboards that might bring it up to where it needs to be. Right now, it's not set in stone. So, but this is just benchmarking day. This is not launch day. So let's pray to God that in the future, hopefully within a month or two, that they got the CPU, got it all rebalanced and where it needs to be. It's kind of putting itself into the category of Intel, but it's not. I'm not going to recommend anything from Intel right now for the simple fact, after the microcode update in August, then we'll talk about and see where Intel is. For right now, I'm not really going to use Intel as an example in these benchmarks. But they did in these benchmarks, so I guess they have a stable CPU in order to do these benchmarks, so it's kind of iffy right now. So moving on, let's see. Moving on, we will go to Baldur's Gate 3. So you see the difference between the 6400 and the 6000, and it seems that 0.6% faster with the 6000 series than the 6400. So that kind of, in some games, it seems like it runs backwards. Like if you use a higher speed RAM, it seems to lower the FPS, which doesn't make sense to me. It seems that they have it seems like this is a RAM issue, that the stability is not there 100%. So, but I heard AMD is working on the stability issue. So, like I said, so much for it's supposed to be faster than 7800X 3D, which it's not. So, but looking down here, it's showing that it's faster than the 14600K, but not by much, maybe 1%. And right here, at about 2 or 3% faster than the 7800X. And with between the 5800X, it's got a good jump on it, probably 12, 15, 17%, somewhere in there. It's not too bad, not too bad. So even though that I run the 5700X, looking at this doesn't make me feel bad when it comes to the 9700X. So I really don't feel bad to this. Even though I know I got the 5600X 3D, I could always swap that out and put it in my system, but I think I'm doing better in with the 5700X. Even though that it says the 5600X 3D is faster than the 9700X here, and that's a 6-core 12-thread processor. And I know it's got more cache, so I know it has more cache when it comes to the L cache. So, but it's only got a couple FPS jump on the 9700X. I was hoping it would perform a lot better than this, way a lot better than this. I mean, I was hoping that the 9000 series was going to be a savior to everything, but we still got 2 more CPUs to go. Maybe more than 2 for this month. So we got the 15th, we got the 9950X coming out and the 9900X coming out. So we still got those 2 processors. We'll have to see what they do compared to these. And from my understanding, these were supposed to be, the 9700X was supposed to be fastest, the 7800X 3D or faster. See, this is the reason why I don't like doing leaks so much. It's exciting, yeah, it gets you excited, yeah, but this is the outcome. This is the outlier of it. They were all wrong when it came to the leaks, because there's no way this is what it is. So, but moving on down the road, let's see what else we can come up with. Okay, we're just going to jump into this. So the 13 game average with hardware and box, and this is their benchmarks, not mine, but we're going to give it to you anyway. And like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below on the video I got it from. So, looking at this, the 7700X, the 1% lows was 109, and the average was 151 FPS. So, that's the 7700X. Now, the 7900X was 110 on the lows and 155 on an average. So, you're looking at what, 4 FPS difference? And even if you look at the 7900X, it's at 108 on the lows and it's 152 on the average highs. So it's only 3 FPS away from that. But still, your 7800X 3D, it's way there in the top. They said they compared this to the 14600K, and 1%. I mean, your 1% lows are at least 7% difference, but the highs, it's only 1%. So really, there's not much to be seen, except for the 14600K would probably be at a lower price than the 9700X. That's one thing that's going to kill this is the pricing. Now, if AMD said, okay, well, we need to knock $100 off of this, at least $120. I mean, that would make a difference. If they knocked $120 off of the 9700X and they knocked $80 off the 9600X, I think they would have a better chance in the market than they would right now. Because I can tell you with the pricing, people are not going to be too happy with this. And for me to recommend this, I don't know. It's very sketchy. Okay, so now let's flip around and see what else we can see. And looking at the single core and Cinebench, let's just go there. Single core and Cinebench, it's not that far off from. It's not that bad, but could be better, but it's not that bad. Especially when you get a 12900K almost keeping up in there, 7950X. It's pretty much keeping up with the 14900K, which is only a couple points off from it, so that's not too bad. Multi-core, looks like that the 7700X is close to keeping up with it, not that far off, but it looks like that AM4 Ryzen 9 5950X blew it out of the water, and the i7 2700K blew it out of the water. The i9 12900K blew it out of the water. Oh my goodness. So this is not good. Multi-core, it looks like it's falling on its face with the multi-core. So let's move on. Starfield again. You know, looking at this with the 12700K. I mean, 1 point difference with the 12700K in the highs, but in the lows you got about a 6 point difference. So I mean, and especially with the 7700X, definitely taking the lead on this, and right here with the 7800X 3D, definitely blowing it out of the water. Okay. We're going to go back to the main screen, and I'm going to give you my conclusion because there's not much more we need to talk about. We've already seen the bench of the high highs and the lows, and I'm going to give you my final thought right here. And I'm going to close all this up. No sense keeping it up because it's done deal. Okay, my hat goes off to Hardware Unbox, Steve and Steve from Gamers Nexus, and Hardware Unbox, Steve and Steve. You guys did an awesome job. Just let you know, and y'all make sure you go over there and subscribe to their channel as well. And give them some likes because they did an awesome job on that. So, even though they're not mine, I realize that I have to wait like everybody else, the consumer, in order to buy them. But from what I'm seeing right now, I'm going to tell you this. It might be a processor that I'm going to wait and not purchase for the simple fact we're still waiting on the 9900X and the 9950X. And we're still waiting on the 9000X 3D series that should be coming out in September. So I'm not going to put all my eggs into one basket. Hey, if AMD doesn't want to send me anything, that's up to them. I mean, it would have been nice. I'm not asking them for money or anything. If they just wanted to send me something to work with and test, that would have been nice. Even though I would have thought to myself and said, hey, Jay, duh, I don't have a 600 series motherboard yet. Oh, my life just goes great. Don't forget this, by the way. But all in all, we're able to get some benchmarks on it and see where it's at. And like I told you, it's nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. Nowhere near. It was supposed to be running better than a 7800X 3D. That's what they said on the leaks. And then they said on the leaks it's supposed to be running at a TDP of 104 watts. 65. And it was supposed to be running better than a 7800X 3D. I just said that. I'm going to say it again. But I can tell you what it did keep up with is the 7700X. Even though that the 7700X is at 5.4 gigahertz on the boost clock. And this 9700X is supposed to be 5.5 gigahertz on the boost clock. And your 7700X is at 104 watts TDP. And the 9700X is at 65 watts TDP. So, but it'll stay stable if you run it at 85C, but you really want to keep it down to around 62C. That is the best thing I would think that would go for this. And also, too, I think what would go better is undervolting it, to be honest with you, to undervolt it. Because what I'm thinking that's happening is that it's, hitting its max clock at 65 watts, or hitting its max wattage at 65 watts. And it's swinging up to 143. That's already happened with my 5700X until I brought it down to 88, undervolting it. So it goes from 51 to 88 instead of going from 65 to 105. So I kind of balanced it out and it ran good on the 5700X, which, like I told you guys in the last video I made, that the 5700X, the 5800X, and the 5800XT are all running within 1 to 2% of each other. So it doesn't matter. Even if, some reviewers test with the 5800XT or the 5800X, it's still within 1 to 2% of my 5700X. So that basically tells me where that testing is resulting to. So, but from my opinion on this, and this is going to be my opinion, the 9700X, I am not going to recommend it. I would rather recommend a 7700X or a 7800X 3D to you guys. Because the 7700X under workload is going to be better for the workload than the 7800X 3D. But the 7800X 3D is going to be more for gaming when it comes to the gaming loads, because that's what it's designed for. But the 7700X, they said the 7800X 3D is good for the creator work as well as gaming. It's okay from what I'm hearing. It's okay. 7700X is just as good. It'll play games. It'll do content creator work. It'll do everything that you need. Plus, the price is a lot cheaper than buying that high price stuff that's at the top. You can buy it, but think about that you might be GPU bound if you're deciding to use, a lower scale GPU like a 6750, or any of the 6000 series, the lower end 6000 series, or the lower end 30 series for NVIDIA. I would suggest, if you're going to do something like that, if you're going to get a 7800X 3D, that you use it with the minimal 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte and up. Just like with your 7700X, you can run your 7700X same way, from a 6800 and up. So, but depends on the performance you want when you game. That's the whole idea. But anyway, if you made it to the end of the video, subscribe, hit the like button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I post the next video. But do stick around because we're going to look at the 9600X, the 9900X, and the 9950X. So until the next time in the next video, and we'll see you on the next one.